I can hear air still. I know you're all hoping it's going to suddenly go. Right, today you find me on a rushed morning with no plans, or I tried to plan. Pipe laying, rods here, squeaky digger, and hopefully we can get all this in. So Rob's gone down already. I think he's just doing like a pilot run, just to make sure we don't hit anything. I know it's soft ground, so he should be okay. But he's gone all the way down in his tractor. Now while he's doing that, because it's a wider wheelbase than little Masty Audrey, I managed to have a crack last winter doing it here, but it was, as some of you might have seen, a poor attempt. So I need to now roll these out of the way, and then he should be able to do here. What we've got is the blue one coming up there, comes down that fence line underneath the track and up. So that's going to carry on through to about 4 feet out from the fence. We'll dig a hole there because that'll be a joint and it'll go that way. I'll probably put a T and take one to that paddock there, just so we've got a little trough up there. But most of it will be, but the majority of the pipe work is going to head that way all the way along, and then where there's a break in the pipe, like a natural end, I'll be putting a trough kind of, I don't know, 100 meters along from here, and then one at the far end. Right, a little bit of make it up as you go. The difference with Rob's mole plow is it's like a torpedo shell. It's a proper mole plow, so we're going to be pulling the whole pipe through, which is why he's done that pilot run rather than my one which feeds it in. That's fine, but it just means I was trying to put the troughs wherever the roll ends to save having a load of couplers and more joins that I needed to. So I'm going to leave the digger there. What we're going to do is pull through until we're close to pulling it all through. I'll have to wave, and then he'll just stop and I'll just dig a hole in front of him. That's where we'll put the joint. This ground here is a little bit higher. Putting a trough down by the gateway is a bad idea because it's softer ground, wetter ground, and it's by a gateway. So let's do the initial plan, which is use the length of the rolls to set out the troughs. Wow, this is lumpy bumpy from last year. Poor Rob's being assassinated by goats. So it's bolted in here. So this lovely big torpedo is going to be pulled through, and then that's what's going to just slide the whole pipe down the hole. It actually leaves a hole rather than just the friction on the pipe. It's bigger than the pipe. Yeah. Very simple, but it works really well. Helps when your tractor's nice and beefy. So it's pulling through. It's gone deeper now, so it's just pulling through. As you can see, it. This is only 450 deep at the beginning, but he's now gone down a bit. And you can see it's quite a big, smooth hole that it's feeding through. There's actually no friction on the pipe at all. So I can run my T in here. I'll just dig this out afterwards. So what we're thinking is when we get close to where I need the trough, rather than using the roll end, I'm just going to dig a long trench exactly on his line ahead of him, and then he'll just pull straight through that, and then I'll come in and dig the T afterwards. What I've decided is I'm going to put a T down here where the supply comes in, and this little stretch here I'll just put in with the digger. It just makes sense to do that, I think. Otherwise you end up having to reverse, turn around and trying to drop the mole plow into that hole to pull it through. Could still be done, but probably not worth the effort. I can dig quite a neat hole. I'll get the smaller bucket, neat hole, drop it in. I can probably go even deeper just because this is a little bit trafficked. We went deeper under the track and filled it with sand, but all of this is fine with just the soil. Lovely soil as well. Look at this stuff, beautiful. I'll wait until he gets to the trailer. All right, that's a lot. Probably a little bit more than needed, but we'll use it everywhere. We're always going to be able to use the short sections where we do the little 2-meter tee and up to troughs. Couple of, are they 25? Well labelled. And then I can get Rob to just drive back down here with his tyres on that rut. Hopefully he'll compact it down a bit then. I don't think he can do it now. What we will do is probably use Rob with that attachment just to run this mole plow through the field a few places just to help drain it into the brook, because what happens is you pull it through and it leaves you with a natural soil. I mean, it will collapse after a while, but a nice hole. So there's the pipe pulled through, so now I can just jump in there kind of and put my tee in to my trough when I need to. We don't have to do that today, well, not whilst Rob's here. Oh, I can move on. Sometimes a plan just works. I've just realised a huge win. We've got the place where I want the trough up there. That's where we've dug that hole, and I can get in there to put the tee in. This, we had to put this hole here because this is the end of the first 100-meter run. So we've got to put a coupler in there to the next pipe roll. But it just so happens that we are exactly in line with the 2 paddocks on the hill field. So the vineyard paddock and the one right at the top, the oak tree paddock. They are waterless at the moment, and although they're small and we can normally manage with buckets, it's a bit of a mission. So I can quite easily dig with a digger, mini digger, from here into there, and even if we just only serve the bottom paddock, that'll be a huge win. Sometimes it goes to plan, normally only when you've got a professional helping you. All right, another hole dug. Lovely. $150 meters, easy. Right, there we go. That was a job well done, wasn't it? A couple of hours, not even that. Right, we need to make sure those boys have got water. I'm still bucketing water around because it's still well and good having a pipe in the ground, but it's not got any water in it. Now, I'm not sure if this video is going to go out before I make any decisions, but if you've got any kind of pointers on trough, let me know. We've been through a few different options. Obviously, conventionally around the farm there were galvanized big 6-foot jobs. We don't need them to be that big. Those ones have all kind of died a death. Most of them were already rusted through when we moved here. So I'm not sure if I want to go for steel, because modern steel is probably not going to be half as good as the stuff that was on here, and even that failed. Plastic in the sunlight, we're here, it's south facing, you know, it's okay in the sheds. We've got a couple of them up there and they're okay, but I'm not 100% certain I want to go for plastic. And therefore, I'm kind of going for concrete, I think. 40 gallon, I think I can get 25 or 40 gallon, which is certainly big enough for sheep, goats, pigs, and even a couple of cows. So, unless anyone's got any objections to me getting concrete troughs, that's what I'm going to go for. I found them, they're about the same price as steel. Some places they're really expensive, but our local Winstay, I've managed to get a good price from them. So I think I'm going to have one here, one up the other end, and if they really are the price I thought they were, which I think was 120, I might get one for the pigs, because there is no way, I mean, they're too empty, they're something like 200 kilo. A pig's not going to flip that. They'll flip everything else, but not that. So, right, back on it. Rob's headed off, and I'm going to carry on, because if I don't do it now, it will remain undone for a long, long time. Bucket of fittings. Now I'm hoping that I've got enough to just get water flowing down the end here, because that would just be easier. Maggie, wait, rolling in sheep muck. We don't have a fence the other side yet. We do have the option, therefore, of just digging through the middle of this hedge, because I don't think it's too hedgy there. It's just some weeds and other small planty things. Otherwise, the other option is to dig it here, because next week I've got to put all the hardcore in here. So what we could do is we'll come along, have a trough at the end here. It can tee. I can just sweep it around a bit. Tee, come up for the trough. Then it can go through, over to the other side for a trough, and tee in the middle. We'll go deeper here, but that's easy because we're a mini digger. And we'll take it from there through, and then we can decide where we're going. And then we'll just simply come through with the pipe, poke it up, and I'll put a stopcock on the end. Right, we're getting somewhere now. I've filled the trench, come around with the digger, and I've dug basically just under our wire here. I've gone quite close to that strainer post, but it should be okay. We'll backfill this in a bit. I want to test all the water first, obviously. What I've done is I've just cut a length, I guess a metre length, so that's going to come up where our trough is. So for now, I don't know if I've got a spare stopcock, but I do have a spare trough, a small plastic one, which is fine actually for now. So I might install that, because that will act obviously like a stopcock once it's full. And then the leg that's going to go off and do other bits in the future, I'll just have to put my one and only stopcock on that. So, question for you guys: what do you do? Blue is underground pipe, black is above ground pipe. We've got a length of black which is kind of woven in a hedgerow up there. I think it's more about the UV than anything else. However, should your little bit that comes up into your trough be in black or in blue, I think I'm probably overthinking it. I'm gonna just put this blue in for now. Obviously it's less sightly, and if anything you could just paint it and then it would be UV resistant, but I don't know what other properties the black has that makes it better for above ground. The difference is this is fine for potable water, the black isn't. So my argument is this is probably better anyway. Go in there, that's going to drop in, or it will be dropping in a minute. I bought all this pipe. The last 3 orders I've done actually was from a place called Pipe Stock. I'm pretty sure it's a pretty standard affair, the pipe itself, and they do all the fittings. But whatever these ones are, made in Italy. P, is that plus on? I don't know. Anyway, these ones I haven't had any issues with. There's some grey ones which I didn't like as much, but they're way cheaper if you can order them online rather than getting them in store. Right, let's get a twist on here. So the idea of having multiple troughs in this field is more to do with being able to strip graze it in the future rather than having to move troughs. So you can do a really low input system where you just have quick connectors and a trough that you just move each time. But I haven't got time. That's probably not quick enough. I haven't got time to be rejigging the infrastructure every time. So I'm just gonna have two sensible sized smallish troughs, one each end of the field, and then wherever we are, I doubt we'll ever have, you know, we'll probably only split this meadow up into 2, maybe 3, so there'll always be a trough. And of course you can move your fence so that it's still incorporate, you just move it the other side of the trough and then you get 2 paddocks out of 1 trough. Alright, that's got to be okay. What we should have done is wound... Timothy, you Egypt. Alright, so we're through. I'm not going to bury the T, but I'll bury the rest. And then this blue, I'm just going to tuck in the hedge out of the sunlight, but it's fine. It's only going to be there for a week or so, he says. Right, next up is our straightforward joint. Okay. So this is the one well, I thought this is the one we'd have to be really precise on, but it's amazing. We can actually pull this, as you saw earlier, we can pull it through by hand. There's actually now a subway running underneath our field here, and that will compact over time. Don't think you can, well, you probably almost make it out. There's like a nice polished hole there. There you go, there. So in time, if we do want to add some drainage to this field, that's what you end up with. You run a few of those through and that acts as like a mini drainage. All right, I have no means of propping up the camera, so here it is now. And there we go. I won't lie, it is now 3.5 hours after I started that job, because as soon as I started, delivery arrived, then another quote site visit came, and then I had to do emails, then I had to have lunch, and here I am finishing it. But I'm gonna get it done today. Leave the digger here ready to backfill, take the gear back now that way, the car stuck on the track. Well, it's not stuck, I just need to reverse it all the way back. And the dog is here, aren't you, Mags? One thing I am on the fence about, literally quite on the fence right now, is whether we move the pigs today over to the secret meadow, but which is behind me. It's hot and they would do well over there, but there's not much greenery over there yet. So next one is the T. So we need to put T, 2 T's if we want to take it through to there, but perhaps we don't do that right now. We just go with a straightforward, what's that? A straightforward T like that, with one leg coming off and coming up just inside the fence, ready for our trough. Inserts there, grips. I guess one of the next things I need to decide is going to be, do I put a stopcock on every trough? Yeah, I feel like it would be a good idea, but I also think it's quite unnecessary. They're quite expensive, and there is just one leg that comes off from that gateway. If I put one down there, it might make more sense. That means in the winter I could just drain down this meadow, because we don't graze this in the winter. Maybe that's the answer. All right, see here where, maybe not this end, this end, this is where Rob had to bolt it to the mole plow. It's really, it must be very strong stuff, because it hasn't distorted the hole or anything, but I feel like I may as well cut it 6 inches back. So just in case any of this had distorted or strained it or anything, it should be fine. That one's a bit long as well. They always need to go further than you think. So, have I done that where I want it? Yeah, because we can clip it to the fence post. That's good. Alright, so we do need the digger, because I didn't bring a spade, but we could put it in ready, so we can decide at a later point if we are going to carry it on through that hedge over there. But we don't need to right now. What we need to do is, oh, put it in the wrong place. That was just meant to be a straight. That was just the end of the... I could just bury this back in, because that's just continuous pipe. That was where we were going to put the tee and come up to a trough there. Whereas that's a little bit further along than I'd hoped. Does it matter? Probably not. Oh, it's lucky I'm not working to a plan or a drawing, isn't it? Which will be the case from next week when we start on the groundworks and the house build, but we can freestyle it today. Why are we filling it with water? Is that just groundwater and that we've hit the water table because it is very high at the moment, or have we broken a drain? The drain from a neighbouring property apparently has a overflow from their pond that comes all the way through here into the brook. I've never seen it, even though I dug against that fence, that hedge line. So it could be out here, which means there's a slim chance that one of these posts could have hit it, which means that could be contributing to why it's been so wet and not drying out. Where is that water coming from, Maggie? What we could do is do a test dig for the same depth over there and leave it for an hour. I can't see if it's seeping in from anywhere or whether the walls of that are quite damp. Maybe it's just, we've just hit water, haven't we? I mean, the chances of us actually hitting, I mean, maybe it is quite high, 10%. We will get this done today, or at least at a point where we can test it. Look how nice this grass is here. This is where we will be eventually laying a stone track, and it seems a little bit stupid to come down and mow, so I've put Samson and his son out on the track for the day. They're up by the car now, and hopefully if I give them 2 days on here, they'll do the job for me. Maybe more than 2 days. What you'd hope is the hundreds of rabbits that live in these hedges would hop out, spend their days eating the lush green grass on the track, but instead they hop through that side and eat the 1 week old grass, which is just coming through. Right, excuse the fans and the aircon, it is another day, and I've been spending this morning getting those bits finished. I've run out of stopcocks and I can't be buying those expensive ones off the shelf. Online is about, well, 2/3 cheaper. So I've got some old 20mm ones, so I sent Jo out to buy a couple of couplers this morning while she was out and about. So I've now been able to get water back on in the cabin, which has gone down pretty well. So I'm now just zooming along the track to check all of our connections, make sure there's no big leaks, and then we're off out to a very special event, which I'm going to try and film. Oh dear. It's no Volvo, this Land Rover, is it? Yes, very special event I'm going to this afternoon. We're going to. Not a drip in sight down there. all there, but then again we haven't bled it through yet, so oh god, so excuse the white legs. Now obviously this won't be moving around once it's buried, but so far I've used 3 different brands of fittings and all are doing well. So that is a tee, that's a tee for the trough and potentially for the vineyard paddock. The nice thing is when we do have the hedging, new trees, or even this vineyard harebrained idea, once you're on the borehole, irrigation's not so much of an issue. Swallowed a fly. Again, I should be using the truck as well, but the back of the truck is just so full of tools and cat food and all sorts. It'll take longer to get it out than use this. Right, so all we're checking now is going right to the end. I'm going to check the 2 pipes on the end. So we've got a T on the end. One's got a 20mm temporary stopcock, and one has our 25mm that will eventually do another paddock. So we'll check both of those aren't leaking. Then I'm going to drive to the lake, pick up the buckets that the sheep drink from. They've just been having lake water at the moment, which is clean enough, it's out for spring. But I'll bring them back to this gate and I'll fill them up from here. Quite a long run, isn't it? This is just that section I've stepped it down to use up this old fitting. These are only 3 or 4 quid. A 20mm version of this, a 25mm version of that, like 20–25 pounds, unless you get it online. Why have we got no water? I can hear air still. I know you're all hoping it's going to suddenly go. I mean, 25mm pipe is quite big. Maybe it's just... Come on. Oh. Phew. Thought we'd blown a fitting. Alright. I won't drink it yet. That's good enough to drink. So that one is going to drop over into the bucket next door. That one's where a trough's going to go at this end. Don't know why, but these 2 hornbeam I planted at this end are the slowest to green up trees on the farm. I'm not sure where I got to yesterday in the video, but I have now decided on concrete troughs. We've got 2 20 gallon to go either end of that field. I've also, because I seem to get a good price on them, I've also got a 40 gallon double-sided one to go either side of the fence. And the pigs, look at these goslings. Every time we come down with the wrong camera. Beautiful. Got 2 sets of parents. One nested here, one must have brought them in from somewhere else. I'm not even shooting in 4K, so can't even zoom in. You just have to trust me. So there's 2 over there with 3 goslings, 2 over there with 7 goslings that hatched them here, 2 on the lake, and a mama duck with more ducklings. As picturesque as it is down here, we need to move this water. All the sheep in the shade, I'm going to have to trust that they're okay. And for our last trick of the day, 2 temporary water troughs for the sheep. Now, until I actually can afford to get another trough for this field, I'm tempted to get one of the big buckets, or maybe just 2 or 3 of these mineral buckets, and I'm just going to put a tap on one of these posts. A tap's a little bit more multi-purpose. As long as the trough's below it, I can just flick it on while I'm down here, but also it means it's easier to fill stuff up, and it's going to be cleaner water to fill from if we're down here and we want some drinking water, because this is main water coming down clean blue pipe. Whereas if it's just a trough, nobody wants to be scooping your water bottle out of the trough. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a wrap. So I know this might sound completely over the top and just a little bit dramatic. However, you don't know how much difference it's going to make when we get these troughs in. Just getting that water in is both the time and the knowing that water is readily available to all the livestock. This week's been very hot, but it's only early May. If we were to not go through the same as the last 2 years, where I'm carrying buckets of water 2 or 3 times a day, or going down into the brook and scooping out water, it's unnecessary workload and stress, because you're constantly thinking about, have they knocked it over, have they run out? And especially the pigs. That's why I've gone for these concrete troughs. It might be expensive, well, it's the same price as any trough, and it might be a little bit harder to fit being that it's concrete, I guess, but it's so nice. They're both pregnant now. Matilda due today, Miss Honey due next week. They could easily get heat stroke or like heat stress, and they start hyperventilating. That's gonna affect them, especially Matilda because she's getting a bit older, but also the piglets that are unborn, and the new arrivals, which will be here tomorrow, need quite a lot of water as well. And again, that's gonna be really important. So getting these in, oh, you don't know how good it feels. We're just on the final straight. Get these troughs in, get a stopcock where the pigs are, so there is one more fitting to put in, because that will allow me to drain down the lower meadow in the winter, because I think that'll be worth doing. And then we're pretty much hands off. There's a couple of little tees we can put in for the tiny paddocks, but majority of the time I can easily just top them up with the hose that'll be right next to it. So, oh, I'm a happy boy. Well, just went in to have my sandwich, and Eden's just run up saying that there's some piglets. So there's your little exclusive for the next video, I guess.